Good morning, students. Welcome back to our English lesson. My name is Md.Victorine, and today I'm going to take you through how to find attitude in Blossoms of the Savannah excerpt. Welcome. So from the slides you can see the definition of attitude. In literature we normally say that attitude is the way the speaker feels about his subject matter. It could be someone, it could be something, or it could be simply a place. So whenever you're reading a piece of writing, try to find out how the speaker feels about whatever he's discussing. So attitude can either be positive or it can be negative. However, in literature, we don't go with positive or negative. We encourage you to come up with specific terms, because negative and positive is very general. So when it comes to describing attitude, we need you to use adjectives or nouns like hateful, pitiful, apathetic, indifference, callous, contemptuous, judgmental, jovial, optimistic, pessimistic, sarcastic, satirical, solemn, sad, resigned, ambivalent, detached, patronizing, sympathetic, loving, condescending, admiration, and many others. So the speaker's attitude can be derived from his choice of words. You can know what a speaker feels about something or whatever he talks about from his choice of words. Sometimes attitude can be very obvious from a piece of writing and easy to find. For example, I've given, if a speaker insults someone or something in his piece of writing, you automatically assume that the speaker hates someone, so the attitude there is hateful. However, most of the time in other writings or other literary items, you'll be forced now to look at the images used by the writer or the choice of words by the writer to help you arrive at the attitude. It simply means, what does the speaker feels about what he's talking about? If he's addressing death or addressing corruption, what does he feel about that topic that he's discussing? So we'll use an example of an excerpt for us to find out as learners how to derive attitude from an extract. So I have an example here from the Blossoms of Savannah. I'm going to read for you. So if you're able to, you can pause it and then read it slowly at your own pace. But for now, for the purposes of this lesson, I'm just going to read for you. So it begins. Read the following excerpt and answer the questions that follow. Lano, Iya, Nayor, the endearing diminutive that he only used in the most intimate of circumstances, stopped her in her tracks. She straightened up and her eyes widened. This is the home that I've always dreamed I would one day build for you and my beloved daughters, he said emotionally, and dramatically dipped his hand into his coat pocket, removing a key. For a brief moment, the air around them was expectantly taut. The girls stood breathless, staring fixedly at the gate. The whole episode seemed magical, and like a magician, Olekailo stood there beaming ecstatically, his hands ready to unveil the object of his magic. He inserted the key into the keyhole, turned it, and it clicked open. He swung the gate open to reveal a home that was so breathtakingly beautiful that they could have only imagined it in a fantastic dream. They were stunned. Father of all creation, Mother Milanoy exclaimed loudly, "This is but a dream. It is magnificent," enthused Tayo in an ecstatic ecstasy of delight. Enkai Supat, "I've not seen anything like it," completed Resian enthralled. Eitu Aikata Adol. The air of excitement that danced about the Kaelo family was so exhilarating, and for a long moment none of them moved, their eyes glued to the exquisite house before them. So we have a sample question is here. What is the attitude of the girls and Mama Milanoy towards the new house? So here you're being asked what do they feel about their house, or what are they feeling towards this new house that their father has introduced them to it. So from the example that I have on the board there, we have approval, adoration, admiration, and awe. So how did I arrive at this conclusion? So you can go back and look at the choice of words that these people have used to describe the house. So once the father turned the key, for example, Mama Milanoy exclaimed and said, "Father of all creation, this is but a dream." If you look at Tayo, what Tayo said, it is magnificent. If you look at Resian, the writer has used the word enthralled. So from those choice of words, you know that they seem to love their new house. They seem to see it like something which is so awesome and nice to look at. Even Mamleno exclaimed, "Father of all creation, this is but a dream." So there we can conclude that they admire this house, they love their new house, and they approve that indeed the father had done a good job by building a magnificent house for his family. So if you ask for the attitude of the girls and the mother, you know that you can use admiration, you can use adoration, or you can use approval. And then now you go back to the excerpt and lift those words that show that they indeed approve of this house. So it's but a dream, and the Resian is enthralled. All these words serve to help us to know the attitude of the girls towards the house and their mother too. So that's an example of how you can derive the attitude. Let's go to the second one. We have another excerpt here. Read the following excerpt and answer the questions that follow. That's our second excerpt. "And so, in the absence of their mother's protection and the face of their father's constant provocation and intimidation, Resian's dependence on Taiyo strengthened. And Taiyo would have been icked by her sister's ever-present nagging complaint had she not been so deeply aware of her never-ending unhappiness. Although Resian had a lot to complain and grumble about in their new environment, Taiyo found it tolerable. For instance, she gladly discovered that mornings at their new home began with the lively chatter of birds in the trees surrounding their home. That gave the home an atmosphere of tranquility." So our second question, or our second example, is asking, what is the attitude of Taiyo towards Resian? So what does Taiyo feel for the sister? So from the example that you've read in the excerpt, we see that this girl had gone through a lot. From the mother failing to protect her for the father's provocation and intimidation. And that's why we're told that even though the sister she was justified to feel act by her sister's nagging complaint, but she was aware about her unhappiness. She had seen how she had suffered in the hands of their cruel father and the fact that the mother failed to protect her. And now she sympathized with her, she empathized with her situation. And she was deeply aware of her never-ending unhappiness. So she was aware that the sister was unhappy. And therefore, she was able to understand her and where she's coming from. She was able to put herself in Resian's shoes. And that's why when the examiner asks you, what is the attitude of Taiyo towards Resian, the immediate vocabulary we go for is sympathetic and empathetic. Because you can see that from what the writer said directly. She was aware of her unhappiness. And that's why, even though she was justified to be annoyed by her sister's moodiness and character, she was able to understand, and therefore she was able to accommodate her unhappiness and the way of her lifestyle. And therefore we can say that this girl was sympathetic and this girl was empathetic. So after that, now I'll give an example of an assignment whereby using the tools that I've given you, you can be able to derive the attitude from the next excerpt. So we have a very good example here. You can pause it and read it slowly. So finally, read the following excerpt and answer the questions that follow. She shuddered when she recalled the day the Kamuratani visited their house in the company of other village women. She was a thin old woman of about 60 years and of average height, whose back and shoulders still stood straight. Unlike the other women who were dressed in traditional shukas, she wore a t-shirt that was much too large for her frame and heavy, shapeless skirt-like garment. Her gnarled, calloused feet were bare. When Taiyo, burning with curiosity, had asked her to show them her tools of trade, she had sprung up with the agility of a young woman and dashed swiftly to where she had left her bag on the table. After rummaging about among her things, she had fished out a dirty oilskin that she helped aloft while she triumphantly, like one who had won a match, grinned and stared at them. The most startling thing about her was her eyes. They were clear, bright, and inquisitive. They were obviously windows of an exceedingly alert mind. So the first one is, what is Resian attitude towards Enkamratani or FGM in general? From the choice of words given by the examiner or given by the writer, what can you deduce? What do you think she feels about the process of circumcision? So using the things that we've discussed in the first two extracts, you can easily be able to derive what attitude is. It simply means what do you feel about what you're discussing. Therefore, when it comes to attitude, most time in your exams you find that attitude normally has three marks. 2 marks for identification and 1 mark for explanation. This is because it takes a lot from you to be able to read in between the lines and decipher the attitude of the writer, of the speaker towards what is discussing, and come up with justification on how you arrived at that identification. You are free to use adjectives or nouns mostly when they're identifying attitude. And I've already given you a few words that you can use to identify attitude. So with those few remarks, I wish you all the best as you try to be able to decipher the meaning of or find the attitude in the excerpt. Thank you and have a good day.